months ago I was at the flea market and this seller had some Amiga and Commodore 64 games. I don't even own those computers yet, but I'm interested in picking those games up in case I get them in the future. And the seller had this game, Oo-Topos. I thought it looked pretty cool because it's a sci-fi adventure game. And I love science fiction and I grew up playing adventure games. So this game was originally developed by Sentient Software, the text version in 1981, and this is the version with graphics from 1986. It got ported to the Apple II, the Commodore 64, DOS, and Amiga. And in my review, I chose to review the Amiga version because I think that's the best looking of all the versions, and I'll show them a picture of all of them. So, inside the box, this is back in the days where you got feelies in computer game boxes. So, especially for a text-only game, they wanted to include all these things that you could look at. So there's a letter from the president. The ship's operator manual. Polarware's game catalog for 1986. Looks like saving and loading instructions. A Penguin Software registration card. Polarware was originally called Penguin Software, but they had to change their name because of copyright. These are mission codes from the ship. And the game on 5 1/4 inch floppy. So I'll show that screenshot comparing the different versions, and then we'll talk about the history and then go into the game review. Here's the IBM PC DOS version of Oo-Topos from 1987. This has the worst graphics of all of them. It's CGA. Here is the Commodore 64 version. This is the version that I have. It looks alright, a little bit more color. Here's the Apple II version. I think this looks second best. Really colorful, but some of the coloring is a little bit more simple than the Amiga version. And here's the Amiga version that we're going to be looking at. There's a few more colors than the Apple II version. The history of Oo-Topos goes back to 1979, when the game's writer Muffy Berlyn purchased an Apple II. He wanted to make his next novel a computer game, but at the time the Apple II didn't even support lowercase letters. He published his third novel the traditional way, under the pen name Mark Saunders. He played more text adventures, but he thought he could do better, so he created the company Sentient Software and published Cyborg and Oo-Topos in 1981. This is the box for the 1981 version of Oo-Topos, published by Sentient Software. The back of the box advertises being the first game ever written by a science fiction author, and that it took 1.5 years for Muffy Berlyn to write the story. I really like the box art, how it shows the cool world of Oo-Topos and the crashed ship, and some of these taglines, the vocabulary of 1,000 words. The sentences, the Farza in this game still isn't really that good. Like, it's not as good as Sierra games, which I'll go into. And then it says it has 100 out of this world graphics. So it means like 100 rooms. Includes ship's manual and computer readout. And here's a picture of the writer and his wife. His wife Muffy also helped him with the game, and also she helped him on the game Cyborg and some other games. Some screenshots. So now let's look at the story here. It's 1995 AD, Earth time. An interstellar transport carrying power transfusion waste collided with a meteor, scattering its contents towards Earth's sun. The waste is so deadly that all life on Earth will be destroyed unless something is done to save it. But Earth, in a restricted travel zone, has neither the knowledge nor the technology to cope with such a catastrophe. Your mission is to deliver the chemical seeds of a protective compound that will render the waste harmless. Your destination is Observation Lab Port 5V, a seemingly lifeless planet just outside Earth's solar system. From there, the compound can be synthesized and secretly seeded into Earth's atmosphere. During the otherwise routine voyage, however, your ship was ensnared by a tractor beam and forced to land on the planetoid Oo-Topos. Hostile aliens boarded your ship and threw you in a prison cell. You must escape and recover your ship with its valuable cargo. Life on Earth depends on you. I wish I had a real Amiga. Maybe someday I'll get one, but for now I'm showing the game on an emulator. Oo-Topos, Topos, Topos. So you start in the prison cell, and in every room it has to draw all the graphics first, so you have to wait for that. And then it'll give you a description of your room. And in the beginning, even though I was using a walkthrough later on, like I had a bit of difficulty trying to figure out what to type. You can't even type look room, you would have to type look prison cell. And you're supposed to use the bottle to break the lock on the door, so I typed use bottle on lock. That didn't work. What you have to do is type break lock 3 times and then type open the door. You can go into the text mode if you press enter, and that's useful if you want to see a previous room description or action that happened. And you can also use the mouse and the arrow keys to move around. Sensors in the area set off an alarm bell. You hear a siren in the distance. You hear several quick, scratchy footsteps echo around you. So we'll have to turn off that alarm at the guard post, and there's also the pirate aliens that boarded your ship, so we'll have to take care of them as well. So we'll push the red button to turn off the alarm. The siren shuts off. You become aware of a swampy odor very close by, like that of the aliens who captured you. You see a bright flash from around the corner and duck instinctively as a laser blast just misses you. So this alien's trying to get you, and you'll be able to shoot him in a minute. So we'll pick up the laser gun and the goggles here. You hear a loud static discharge and see the flash of a laser from around the corner. I thought I could shoot the alien here, but you can't shoot him until he appears on the screen. You run into the alien east of the guard post, and you'll have to shoot him before he shoots you. Here, there is an alien guard raising its blaster with you in its sights. Its eyes widen in sudden panic and disbelief when it sees a laser in your hand. It fumbles with the lever on the blaster, then screams soundlessly as your laser blast vaporizes everything in sight. Considering how old this game is, I think the graphics are pretty good, especially in the Amiga version. I like how you see these trees of the Oo-Topos planet. At this podium you can get the flashlight to light up dark areas, but it has a battery, so you have to switch it off when you're not using it. The next thing you have to do is destroy the Sentinel scanner, which will alert the aliens to your location. So you'll grab a flask from the medical lab, and then in the chemistry lab you can fill it with acid. So we'll have to throw the acid at the Sentinel scanner to disable the alarm. The flask flies through the air towards the scanner. In a sudden accurate burst, the scanner directs a sonic blast at the flask, shattering it to pieces. The caustic acid splatters and lands on the scanner, eating through its armor and producing a fine display of sparks and white smoke. And then you also have to shoot it to disable the alarm. Zap! Your shot penetrates the holes in the armor and sends a fine array of sparks flying. You hear parts inside the scanner rattle and crumble. The alarm bell stops ringing. After this, you're free to walk around the ship, and we'll have to disable the tractor beam before getting onto the planet of Oo-Topos. Then you'll have to navigate the grav tubes, and when you come out you can get this cute snarl creature. Then you'll run into this alien, the Grix, and you'll have to distract him by releasing this snarl, and then that'll allow you to get this converter. The snarl scampers around, apparently excited by the big Grix. The Grix doesn't like the snarl and tries to blow the little creature out of the room, but the snarl thinks it's a game and keeps running towards the Grix and hails after each attempt. The two of them seem completely oblivious to everything else. Then you can pick up the converter, and if you hang around, the Grix will get annoyed and blow you out of the room. One thing that's cool about this game is if you drop an item, you can go back and get it later. I don't know how many games from the time you could do that. I know you can do that in the 90s adventure game Kyrandia. You can drop items and come back and get them. But I'm not sure how many games, text adventure games, where you could do that. A lot of the puzzles in Oo-Topos are these cool gadget puzzles. And here you have to use the goggles because there's a deadly gas. And then once you get rid of the gas, you can see a spacesuit which you'll have to pick up. This infrared view is pretty cool. Pushing the button causes the gas to dissipate. After a few moments, you're feeling fine again. To get your spacesuit, you have to dig through this disgusting trash. Good thing this is just a computer game. Your skin crawls at the prospect, but you gingerly move around in the piles. There's something here. It's your spacesuit from the ship, along with your helmet and gloves. Your spacesuit will allow you to enter the room with the tractor beam, and then you'll have to turn it off. There's even a Star Wars reference in the game. You hear a faint voice saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." Eventually, you'll be able to escape this compound and go into the jungles of the Oo-Topos planet. And this is where the game gets kind of annoying because there's a lot of inventory management. You'll have to go back to your ship to drop some items, and you can only hold 12 items at a time. So it gets kind of tedious running back and forth, and it might be hard to remember where you dropped your items. So it's too bad there isn't an unlimited inventory. On the beach, you'll have to take care of this robot by throwing a reed you find in the jungle. He'll go after it and then explode when he gets to the lava. There's also crabs you have to watch out for, but if they bite you, you can just drink a liquid and it won't kill you. Even using a walkthrough, I got extremely lost in the jungle. I was trying to get back to the pyramid and I kept going the wrong way. I guess I shouldn't complain about these loading screens because this game is from 1986. It got kind of tedious though, having to wait for these to load every time. It wouldn't be so bad if you didn't have to backtrack as much. From my ship, I had to go all the way back into the compound. And at this part of the game, you have to chant some writing on the wall. Take Ella Lava. And if you don't type it right, then it could take you there, but then it'll just take you out. And if you're not carrying the shield, you can't get past certain areas at this part. Back at your ship's cargo bay, it's more inventory management. You have your spacesuit, your items that you need to fix the ship, and your valuable items that you have to sell to buy fuel. And because you can only carry a certain amount, you have to keep coming back here to drop them. At the ship's computer, you'll enter your mission code, and this is the copy protection of the game, found in one of the game's feelies, the mission codes. The ship's computer says, "Welcome back. I was wondering when you would be returning." It tells you that the aliens who took you took most of the components of the ship, so it'll have to be repaired first. And you only have enough fuel to get to a fueling station, so you have to value all your items to see how much money you have. But now it's time to repair the ship. You have to install the ship's missing components, but you have a map of the ship in the manual. And the computer can also tell you which items are missing. After installing the last of the ship's components, it's time to go back to the computer. You have to value all your items to see how much money you have to buy fuel. There's only 8 items that are actually worth anything, and your spacesuit isn't worth anything, and neither is your translator. I just have to go to the cargo bay one more time to get the rest of the items. All system check. We're ready to depart. Please take your position on the bridge. Primary ignition underway. Departure complete. Now leaving gravitational field of Oo-Topos. Tractor field evaded. No hostiles in sight. Finally, we left Oo-Topos. After a brief stop at the trading post Melissuckus, where they take everything you can just for enough fuel to get to your flight to Labport 5V, the computer guides you back onto the interstellar accessway. After a rather short and thankfully uneventful flight, your destination comes into view. Upon arrival, you are greeted with much excitement. Panic was beginning to spread, as it was highly expected that your flight would not arrive. After the 2-day-long delay, your ship appeared on the Labport scanners just as alternate plans were being made for limited evacuations of the unsuspecting planet. When your ship was positively identified, preparations were hastened for the final and ultimately successful leg of the mission to actually save Earth. But your part has been done. Congratulations! So this is the end of the game at our ship here. We're coming off our ship. And we delivered the vial, which contains the seeds for a chemical compound, which will render the waste spill harmless and save Earth. Thanks for watching my Let's Play and review of Oo-Topos. Oo-Topos, Topos, Topos.